True Talk, brought to you by Trueland Equipment. Join us as we explore cutting-edge machinery, groundbreaking technology, and inspirational stories from the field.
From the dedicated efforts of our team members to the triumphs and challenges of our farmers, True Talk brings you along every step of the way.
Whether you're a seasoned agriculturalist or simply curious about the industry, tune in to discover the fascinating intersection of technology, agriculture, and green machines.
True Talk, cultivating true conversations. Welcome back to True Talk. We're so excited to have you guys joining us today. I'm Jordan.
I'm Courtney.
I'm Josh.
And Josh, do you want to introduce our special guest today?
I think we should let our special guest introduce himself.
Good morning, you guys. My name is Marty Catron. I'm with Parts Operations, and I work here out of the Flora location.
What's your job title? Actual job title?
Parts Operations Manager.
Parts Operations Manager. Okay.
Parts Operations sounds pretty legit.
It sounds important. Yeah, so...
There's four of us.
Did you just say it sounds important?
Maybe it is.
Is there a follow-up to that? Are you saying it's not? Yeah. I think it sounds important, and it probably is, as we're going to hear today.
Well, I'm just going to tell you that I'm excited to have Marty here. We had to work really hard. It cost us a lot of money to pay him to be on this podcast today. So the first time we actually had to pay someone to be here. So no, I'm kidding. But it was we are excited to have Marty and had to talk you into coming on today a little bit.
I got a face for radio, so it's good.
No, I have the face for radio. That's my line. Don't steal my line.
Yeah. Josh has the hair for radio.
So anyway, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to kind of learn about the parts process in our business, how it's changed over the years.
Yeah. So Marty comes with lots of experience with Trueland, and he's smirking. That doesn't mean that you're old. It just means that you truly are a wealth of knowledge.
He doesn't look old.
It's an honor. To come with that title. It's an honor to be asked to come on the podcast. We're pretty selective here, so.
Yeah, I just want to start out right off the bat because I just think this is awesome when you hear these kind of numbers. But how long have you cumulatively been a part of this company?
40 years. Be 41 in February, this coming February.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. So the stories you could tell. So, and I've probably known you, not really, really personally, but known of you for 25 of those 40 years, just being around and involved in agriculture, being in the community, farming a little bit. So, as long as I've ever known this business, you've been here.
Yeah, I remember you and your brother and your dad coming and get parts.
Yeah. So certainly been in the parts department the whole 41 years as well.
Yep.
Okay.
That's fascinating. That's pretty rare too, to be in the same department. And there's a lot of people that have been around for a while and seen different things, but to be such a specialist in that department, that's a pretty rare find.
And I'd love to know, as we've grown, going back to maybe one or two mergers ago, we had probably 3 people retire that had 50-ish years in this company, and which is awesome. And you're close.
I won't make it to 50 probably.
Okay, but you're close. I mean, I would love to know, now that we are a 500-plus person company, I'm sure we have several people in this company that have been here that long as well. But I just think that's awesome. I really do. So you're not going to make it to 50, huh? Why not?
No, well, that's...
You're close, Marty. Come on.
I'm not Bill Bernath. I won't be here in my 70s. But that's a ways off yet.
Can you talk a little more about your history with the company, about when you started?
Yeah, so I started in 1984, in February of 84. I worked for Avco New Idea, picking stock orders for dealers. And my cousin was Nathan Shigley's dad, was the controller here.
Wow.
And we were over here at a family reunion. I lived in Iowa. My wife and I lived in Iowa at the time. And we had a family reunion here in Indiana. And was talking to Kurt Shigley, who was the controller here, like I said. And he mentioned they'd lost a parts guy. Well, I could see the handwriting on the wall with New Idea. That was kind of faltering, and they're going to sell. And I asked about the position, and he said, "Yeah, come do an interview." So he set it up with Bill Pearson, and I came back the following week and had an interview with Bill Pearson. He said he needed to talk with his partner, Pete Jackson.
Pete.
And he was in Florida at the time. And he called me a week later and says, the job is yours. So
And that was 84. So we're throwing out names, obviously, that most people aren't going to know. Those are.
I was actually the winter of 83, but I started here officially in 84.
And I would have been 9 years old. I was the only other person in the room that was even close to alive at that time, Marty. So we're talking about Pete. The dealership here, original dealership used to be named was Jackson Lee Pearson. Jackson Lee Pearson, and Bill Pearson was one of the owners, and a wonderful individual.
No, it was like a father figure.
Yeah. So they had 2 stores, and obviously we've gone through, 3 mergers. Since then to get where we are today. So 84. So that is 40 years.
Yeah.
Really? 40 years? All right. That's crazy.
I was
awesome.
22 when I started, and I was the youngest guy here for years.
So, obviously, a ton of questions to ask.
Yeah.
About that. It's like, where do you start? And I guess I just want to go, really just say, okay, without thinking too terribly much about this, right off the top of your head, give me 2 or 3 things that in 40 years are like totally different than the day you started. I mean,
yeah. Well, so the day I started, we wrote all our tickets by hand. You had to figure tax with a calculator. You had to look up parts on a microfiche machine, and you had to order on the JD Dart machine, which nobody knows about these days. And
I don't know what either of those things are.
I know what microfiche is.
Yeah, I don't.
No.
And,
I know what taxes are. The calculator.
The parts manager.
I know what that is.
The parts manager at the time, he had the old card system still kind of as a backup, and that's where it was a little index card, a little recipe card. There's one for every part number you stocked, and when you took a part out of the bin and sold it, you had to take that card out, mark that it was sold, and that's how you kept inventory.
Oh my word!
And we didn't use that. We had the microfiche by then, but the microfiche was 2 weeks old. It was always 2 weeks out.
So that was my next question. How often did they update?
Yeah, you get a fresh one every 2 weeks with your inventory.
So physically in the mail, probably.
Yeah.
What's a microfiche? Can you explain that?
Microfiche?
I could explain that.
Yeah, it's a little, I don't know, maybe 4x6 piece of film with 150 pages on it.
Yeah, their stuff's really packed in there. When you put it in a magnified reader, it blows it up. It's crazy. Like you can pack tons of information on this little card. Yeah.
Your parts breakdowns were on one card that would go on one side of the microfiche, and your inventory was always in the other one. And you'd slide the tray back and forth. You'd look up the part, write it down, slide it over, find your bin location, see if you had any. It was 2 weeks old, so if you had one, you had to go make sure you had it. And so, it was.
You'd look on a screen, right? Almost like through a microscope type screen.
Yeah, it was like a little screen. TV screen, but it was a big unit.
Yeah.
They're saying a big unit. Jordan's looking it up here on Google, and
it's awesome. There was a little bit of microfiche involved in the libraries.
Yeah.
Early on, like for me, maybe when we would go to Purdue and do a library tour, they'd still have microfiche. So it was something that was there.
I have seen these in libraries and like courthouses because they keep records and stuff, like old plot maps and like land maps and such. So I have seen them, and old newspapers are all documented on them.
Yeah.
So that just opens up a whole line of questions of so you just talking about a transition. You transitioned. I can't imagine how many types of part systems and what was the next step?
Not knowing about a computer, that was state of the art. I mean, that was awesome to have that.
Yeah.
But the computer came along in '86.
Okay.
And if we were not the first John Deere dealer in Indiana to get the system, we were one of the first. I believe we were the first in Indiana. Bill Pearson was always real good about piloting that kind of stuff. When John Deere would come out with new things for Deere dealers, he always wanted to be the first to get it. And I'm pretty sure we're the first dealer in Indiana. I could be wrong, but I think we were the first dealer in Indiana to go on the John Deere system.
So clearly, an old DOS-based system.
Oh yeah,
which I'm assuming you guys.
Well, it's called the green screen.
Okay, which you probably wrote that out.
Long time,
yeah.
Till the Quip came along.
Yeah. So that was fed. How was that fed? You would have to load discs in at that point?
Yeah, so, we kept the microfiche machine. The computer back then was just the business system. So it took away all the handwriting stuff.
Okay.
You still had to look up your parts
but that's how you did your
on the microfiche machine, but then you could type that onto an invoice or a work order from there.
Okay, so the calculator went bye-bye.
Calculator went bye-bye.
And what year was this?
86.
So my math teacher in elementary school lied to me when they said, you won't have a calculator on hand all the time.
Oh,
that was like the big line.
Interesting.
You have your phone on you. You have your calculator on you.
Yeah, now. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm guessing it was really, it was a little nicer, but I mean, it didn't seem
it was a Hail Mary from what we had.
Okay.
You know, when you went through writing all this stuff down one part of the time, now you're speedy. And
okay.
I never learned to type. I still type with these two fingers. And
Oh my God.
Hunt and peck, right?
I'll throw a thumb in there once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Oh, it must be the space bar.
And then you said it was that way till Equip, which we could bore our audience to death talking about this kind of stuff. But
yeah, and well, Equip is still, I mean, it's pretty archaic. I mean, it's not, it gets updated, but...
There again, when Equip came out, it was such a Hail Mary compared to what we had.
Yeah.
And we didn't know about it at the time. It's what we had, and it was awesome. And
yeah.
When did you become a parts manager in this office?
About 86.
At 86.
Yeah,
so you kind of oversaw some of these implementations.
Yeah, the parts manager time. He'd been there since the end of the Korean War. He's a Korean War vet. Lots of stories. Good guy. I mean, for 15 years after he left, people still bring up his name.
You got to throw the name out.
Yeah, Bob Draper is his name.
Okay.
Bob Draper. He's long gone now. But I think he'd been around a long time. He didn't enjoy change as much. Maybe I think maybe the computer kind of drove him out. The thought of that coming maybe.
Yeah.
And so there was about a year period where Kurt Shigley and I ran the parts counter.
Okay. Nathan's dad.
Yeah.
Okay. And Nathan's our store lead at our Florida store.
Nathan's store lead.
Yep. Yeah, which we also didn't mention, but if you've listened this far, Marty does work out of Flora with Josh.
Flora, Indiana.
Yep. So Josh works out of our Flora store. So does Marty. And then Nathan does as well. So just to kind of keep everybody up, you're 2 locations at this point?
When I started, we were just this store.
Okay. So when you become parts manager, you're...
Farmer Service and Equipment in Frankfort. I can't remember when we bought them out.
Mid to late 90s, maybe?
Yeah, mid 90s, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
We bought them, and all of a sudden we were a 2-store dealer, and that was a big deal then.
Yeah.
There wasn't very many. Nally Brothers, I think, at Fowler, they had a couple locations. Reynolds.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
So what was the store name at that time?
It was Farmer Service and Equipment down at Frankfort. We bought them, and they became Jackson Lee Pearson as well.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, so I think that, I mean, it sounds like the inventory and parts, obviously we were doing a lot of business over the parts counter, but keeping track of that across a multiple location dealership, using an inventory system that you're describing, that would have been super difficult. And I would say it was more rare to have multiple locations, whereas today it's really rare to have a single location dealership.
Yeah, by then we're on the computer by then, but it was just the business system.
Yep.
And it was, we're linking 2 stores for the first time.
Yeah.
It just wasn't like plug and play like it is today.
Yeah. And obviously didn't have internet.
Yeah, no internet we had. But.
So were you overseeing? Did Bill come in with that Frankfurt store down there, or did you kind of oversee that store as well?
No, I never. Also, I was kind of the corporate parts manager, you might say, at the time. There again, there was an old Korean War guy down there, Walt Harmon, I think is his name, that ran the parts down there.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing. So we're going way back. So we could probably talk about all this for hours and hours, I think, but there's a lot more to you guys than that, right? And I we've talked about ordering inventory. So just talk in general about everything that falls under the umbrella of the parts department.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, we catalog the parts for the service department and all of our customers. Try to make sure we have what we have on hand, have the part they need on hand at the time they need it.
So ordering inventory.
Yeah, ordering inventory. It's all computerized now, but the system we use today is Prism, and it's very almost AI-ish, the way it conjures up our orders and sees what we need and forecasts out. I'm talking about today, and we have what we call it's machine learning. So Equip looks at other dealers, looks at equipment in our area and what parts are selling, not only for a certain machine, but a serial number range of that machine. And then it looks at the population of those machines and serial number ranges we have in our area and calculates, well, this part's has a 60% chance of breaking. You need to stock it. And it's amazing when we first signed up for that this is really out there, for a guy like me. But
that seems out there for me even. That seems like that's just taking so many different metrics into account.
A lot of metrics and a lot of stuff in the background we'll never know or understand. At least I won't. But the first time we just we'd close our eyes and place the order, and 60% of those parts that we got in sold within the first 3 weeks of being here.
Wow.
And we did not have one sale, not one demand, and they sold. That part sold. Now you got to sell the demand that came back in, but 60%, that's awesome.
So it works.
It works. So we're big believers in it.
Yeah.
And we're Matt Kramer and his crew that does all the ordering. Parts come down. I'd have to get Matt in here. I think it's weekly or twice a week. This machine learning thing sweeps, does a big sweep, brings in parts, and even distributes them to the different locations. We have such a wide area now. They even put them kind of where they're needed. Wow. It's amazing.
Which is, obviously we've grown a bunch, and I'm sitting here thinking it would be so cool to know, and you may know, we're going back to the microfiche, and obviously the John Deere lineup was simpler, less electronics. So your parts inventory was probably 1/10 of at what it is right now. I mean,
when I started here, we had a lot of old combines, 55s, 95s, and 45s, and those old machines. But most everybody had the 00 and 20 series. They were kind of the newcomers at the time.
Combines, yeah.
And they're basically the same machine. They were just wider. A 4400 and a 6600 and a 7700. Same machine. They're just wider. They added a straw walker and made it wider for more capacity, and the rat's bar cylinder was wider. And then the 20 series came out and made some updates, but basically the same machine. So therefore, the parts are all the same. There wasn't a lot of parts.
It was a fairly simple improvement. We had the 20, like 40, a lot of 4020s, 4430s, 4440s.
A lot of 4050 series tractors.
Yeah. Not a lot of electronics, not a lot of sensors.
1000 series cultivators, 200 series discs. But all those parts were a lot alike. You didn't have a ton of inventory, and you walked back and got it. You just walked back and got the parts because you didn't have to look them up. They were so repetitive. And those were, I hate to say it, they were good machines, but they were parts generating machines. I mean, they generated a lot of parts business.
A lot of wear parts.
A lot of wear parts. And technology has just caught up now where today's machines just don't break down.
Well, they were covering, they were not as wide, so they were covering more of the field too and things like that as well. But.
We had hundreds of customers, but they didn't have two combines.
Yeah.
They had one.
Yeah.
And sometimes neighbors would share a combine.
Right.
Yeah.
They had a tractor, maybe a chore tractor.
And they might have been running a 20-foot head, so they're covering going back and forth a lot more.
20 foot was huge.
Yeah. So now we're 45s and even hitting 50-foot heads. So so they definitely got a lot more back and forth in the fields and a little more hours on them that way for sure. So, and now I'm guessing it's 10-fold at least, or even 100-fold what your parts inventory has. A lot of smaller stuff too.
I just completed visiting all the other stores, and I know we have a lot of parts here. We're kind of a hub, but when I go out to Edgerton, Van Wert, of course, Coldwater, my goodness, the parts this company has on hand blows my mind. It's incredible. We just spent quite a bit of money on pallet racking to update Logan Sport, Flora, some of the other stores to because everything's just chock-a-block full, and to get it off the ground and more organized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Things storing more vertically. Yeah, just to get more storage. Unbelievable. Can you talk a little bit? We in our podcast with our intern, she was fascinated by the parts department. She thought it was so cool. Again, she thought somebody just came in and got a part. And
there's room for her in the parts department.
She would willingly spend like her free time in the parts department.
Mm-hmm.
Like she would, if she didn't have anything else to do, she would go back and help them pull orders or do inventory or whatever they needed.
She was fascinated by, and we use the word transactional. We want to be more than transactional, obviously, as a company. We want to be a little more engaged with our customers and then help them problem solve. And she was so enamored by the fact that we had to put parts breakdowns up and sit with a customer and really dig in. And she thought that was so cool. And also talk a little bit about the shop support side of this business, because I don't think people understand how important that is as far as the relationship that you guys have with our service department.
Yeah, and that's one thing I try to ingrain in our parts managers, that they've got to be in lockstep with our service manager. I mean, these guys got to be best friends. They got to be a team, a true team, because your service department's our biggest customer. They're all of our parts, the big chunk of them all go through the service department. So each service manager, they're hurting a lot of techs out there, and it used to be you'd load a toolbox up in a pickup truck and go fix a combine. Well, now you take a laptop. That's your first line of defense. So that's where we're at today. You plug a laptop in and you figure out. I mean, there's things where you see a broken belt or they backed into something and ruined a tailboard on a combine. But there's those things. But it's amazing that now the laptop is your crescent wrench of mechanics.
Yeah.
Working on things.
What about so there's got to be a lot of communication.
Oh,
daily.
Can't do without it.
And how does that happen? Is it as much of an email?
A lot of emails back and forth. So this first service department, through different programs they use, will send pick tickets up to the service or the parts department, and it'll have all the information we need, the work order, the segment, and all that. And we'll pull the parts, order the parts, transfer the parts, get them on the work order, bag them up, and then deliver them to the tech.
So it's a pretty foolproof system, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, it's full. No mistakes ever.
Yeah.
No parts in wrong segments or anything.
And so I know that Wabash has a designated parts person for the shop. Is that a pilot? That's
kind of our business model. So we're trying it here in Florida really for the first time. On my visit to the other locations, the eastern locations, that's about how they're set up, and it's working really well. You have a few dedicated guys at the counter that are just dedicated to selling over the counter, and then you've got backroom people that do handle transfers, pull all the parts for the techs, put stock orders away, inventory, things like that.
The general customer that walks in the door has no idea how deep and that's kind of one of the point of going through this line of questioning is most people that walk in the door don't realize how deep your department runs.
Yeah, and the person that comes to the counter anymore is not who they used to be. So, when I first started, the farm owner, the farmer, the guy that ran the show, he was coming in for parts. If it wasn't him, it was his wife. If it wasn't the wife, it was their son or daughter. They would send them in for the parts because it was a family dealio. Well, now you never see the principal owner.
Right.
At least we don't at the counter.
Right.
You know who they are.
Yep.
They'll come in and you know them once in a while, but that's not who you're doing business with anymore. It's their hired man. A lot of them work off purchase order numbers now, like we do as a big corporation, because they're big enough now. They need to keep track of their purchases and what went where. So they're using purchase orders and they're pricing and they're doing the things that we've done for a long time.
And that doesn't even get into the fact that now we can order parts from the phone and through our True Connect app, which I'm sure you want to get into at some point.
Well, I don't know enough about it to talk about, but Marty would be the perfect person.
I assume you have something to do with True Connect. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to be an expert. I say that, but
sure. But it's a part.
So we've got 18 locations, but with True Connect, you've got a True Land store in the cab of your combine. in your truck, walking in the field with your phone. You've got a TrueLand location with you at all times. It sounds like an advertisement, and maybe it is, but you can look up your parts. You can look up invoices in your account. You can place orders. You can schedule service. You can talk with a tech if you need to through another program, Expert Connect. But
so the reality is, on from a part standpoint, people can, if it's a Saturday night at midnight and they need a part, they can figure out what they need, order it in
on their own time. Yeah, when they need it, they don't have to wait for us to open.
Right, and that just means that it expedites it a little bit at least, so that orders.
You get your first in line, more or less.
Yeah, in the system. And I love, I love that. There's I want to say misnomer that people in my age group don't like that technology, but I love knowing what part I need. I want to look up my own parts and tell whatever it's a motorcycle or a 4-wheeler right part or a jet ski part or something. I want to know my part number so I can just find it and order it.
I'm the same way. Of course, it's been my life,
Right.
And when I need something for my Jeeps or something, I like to look it up. I like to go and hand them the part number that I want.
This is what I need.
Yeah, this is what I need.
Yeah, so
that's what I want.
And I think that's, again, with the younger generation, we talk about them a lot in terms of the generation that's starting to move into the operations now. That's the way they're going to want to operate too, with their cell phone, and they're educated. They have the information at their fingertips, and
there's a lot more integration with Equipment Mobile and all of that coming more front of mind when we're talking about learning our equipment and our machinery and the needs for that. There's that direct integration for the parts manuals for that specific serial number. So yeah, knowing exactly what part number you need, and then being able to see our inventory. Is it, if you live in between two stores, you're not driving 30 minutes one direction only to find out you have to turn around and backtrack and go the other way.
Yeah, you can see the inventory of the different locations. If one's closer to you.
Yep.
Sometimes you may work out of Flora, but the field you're in right now is closer to Logansport, and they've got the part. Run up there and get it.
Yep.
Can you believe the advances that you've seen that we've just talked about?
Mind-boggling. Just, I was at a John Deere Expo back in the late 80s, early 90s, and I remember a class I was at that the instructor said, people in 20 years, you will not recognize how your business runs. And I thought, yeah, right. What could possibly change that radically, wow.
So how have you, which you're not, a cranky 70-year-old man, but how have you've had to have the right attitude to?
It helps.
It can be exhausting. I'm sure it can be exhausting.
Yeah. But I tell you, it's like everything. You get out what you put into it. And if you treat customers right, I'll give you an example. There's this old guy, he's long gone, and he came in here, and I was a young parts guy. Grouchiest guy you ever met in your life. I mean, I hated to see this guy come in here. I surely did.
Maybe don't drop a name on that one.
I won't drop a name. He's gone.
Everybody's got one of those customers, though.
Yeah.
He's gone now, but I tell you what, I'd had enough, and I fed it right back to him one time. And he had a surprised-looking face. And from that moment on, we were best buddies.
Yep.
And I got to know him, and come to find out, he was in World War II. He was in Army intelligence, and he interrogated Nazis.
Oh,
and he did some unpleasant things, and that's kind of why he had the demeanor he had. He did some rough stuff.
Yeah, it made his demeanor what it was.
But I tell you what, and he found out I was a history buff, and we got to talking and being, every time he come in, he had a new story, and. You just connect with grouchy people, and you'll find out there's a reason they're grouchy.
I love the grouchy person, because you're right. It's a challenge to find out what makes them tick, and not more often than not, they love you when you break through.
I've had maybe 2 eggs I couldn't crack, but the ones, those are the most rewarding.
So it's funny, full circle moment. We're still a people business in a way, even with all this technology and stuff. We still are. So. And
we still have grouchy customers. So I think that a lot of that customer interaction, we talk about the integration of technology and True Connect and all of the changes that you've seen throughout your career. And a lot of time, I think it gets, Josh said, the next generation or the younger generation, which we need the auto track beep for that one. That's like a curse word.
She hates that.
Yeah, I just feel like we're not all bad, but
it's not a negative connotation, but the reality is
it's just different.
There was a generation change somewhere. You've probably seen a few of them, that we just have to adapt, and I think it's a good thing. Like I said, I love the technology. I want to do as much as I can on my own before I engage someone else.
Yeah, and I think that there's just a lot of, I guess, hesitancy when it comes to technology adaptation because people don't want to lose that customer connection. And I think it's kind of funny that all of our new programs that integrate technology into day-to-day business operations for our farmers all have the word connect in them. So we have True Connect and Expert Connect. But that's what it is. It's a added layer of connection that you can have with your customers. So they might not be calling into the store and talking to you on the phone, but somebody still has to come and pick up that part. And somebody still has to know that we care enough about them and their operation to keep them up and running to stock that part. And all of those components still go into the bigger picture, and we're not losing that connection, nor is that our intention.
That is a fantastic point, because the reality is we're probably more connected than we've ever been.
Yeah.
Even though we think technology maybe pulls them out of the store.
Well, it's a constant connection.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. We are more connected in that way. So that's a really, really good point. And full disclaimer, we said everybody has grumpy customers. You have grumpy coworkers too, right? You think I'm the grumpy coworker. Fair.
No comment.
Fair, yeah, just got to be fair. I plead the fifth.
But, I go home to the grumpy customers all the time because equipment's broken, and I'm like, well, can't help you.
That's the family farm, right?
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna say I have grumpy friends. I have grumpy family. It's just
grumpy's wonderful. It's everybody's. It's all part of the makes the world turn, right? What, considering all this, when you're looking for, I would say, the ideal candidate to become a parts employee here, I don't know that I want to say what's that look like now versus then, but we can probably figure that out. But what does that look like now? There's got to be some depth to that person today.
Yeah, I've sat on a lot of interviews because we need to fill the ranks, and you want a little bit of experience. I've had relatives that wanted to work here. They said, "Oh, first words out of my mouth, well, anybody can do parts. I can do parts," but nobody realizes the procedures and the policies, and there are hundreds of them that have to be done behind the parts counter. Excuse me. And we just had an ops meeting yesterday morning, and we were talking about tight counter procedures that keep the inventory straight and keep parts coming in, so you have them when you need them. So when I say you need to come in with a little experience, excuse me, we've hired some people from the auto parts business, and it's so different because it's so automated. You just start asking questions. I got a 2000 Jeep and it's got the 6-cylinder bomb, and that guides them where they need. But here, it's not like that. I've got this combine, and here's the part I need, and the part they need is not what John Deere calls it. It's not what we call it. It's, there's 3 names for everything. It's challenging.
We've seen that a few times.
And sometimes they make up their own names for stuff.
That thing.
Or something gets subbed in and you can't figure out what the sub number is.
Back in the day, people would look for hydraulic lines on tractors, and they said, well, it runs by the battery box. Well, the battery box is not part of the hydraulic system. Right. So it's not shown with the battery box. And it's those little things like that where somebody off the street just doesn't know. And then people have accounts, and people want to split bills. And work orders have to be on the right segment, and stock orders have to be put away, and they got to be put away in the right bin. There's just so much policy and procedure of day to day that finding that right person is tough.
There's an OCD component to this.
There is.
Really. I get super confused when I start talking parts because obviously when we go out to fix stuff, even being in integrated solutions, we need to take parts with us sometimes. I don't like making trips back to the store personally. So I'll take, one of the 3 options that I have. But a lot of the time they're like, oh, is this warranty? Is this? Is it going on this ticket? Is it an open work order? And they start asking me all these questions because it's that common procedure that they all abide by. And I just look at them like, I have no idea. I don't know the answers to the question. So no, it definitely is. I mean, there's a lot of things to keep track of, and it goes way beyond just going to the counter, asking for something, and then taking it with you.
And I am assuming also, obviously, the parts inventory has skyrocketed as far as the number of parts as the equipment has become more technological. But also, when you start adding AMS equipment in and the GPS technology, there's a learning curve to some of that as well. How do you know a person's going to be able to?
That's the most challenging, I think, for anybody up there is we always call it the electronic part of this parts. A lot of that stuff's not tangible. And a lot of software downloads that we order for mostly the service department. But you don't know anything about it.
Right.
And then where to find that harness is just mind-bending. Try to find that harness. There's some good catalogs out there, but which catalog you go to? Where do you find this list of harnesses?
And those are frequently changing parts numbers too.
I know. It's
different
horrible.
links.
I feel like if I go a month between looking for the same exact part, we'll do like an Ethernet cable, let's say. If I look for an Ethernet cable today versus if I look for that in December, it's probably going to have a different part number. Yeah. I feel like they are ever changing.
And ask anybody behind the counter, especially one that's been around a while, that every time John Deere changed a model, they would change the connections on the ends of the wires, the wire connecting terminals. You know, it was a Delphi, and now this year we're using Modex or whatever, and next year we're using WeatherPack, and then Deutz, and they change it every year. And they're more common now. That used to be one piece of snap on the end of a wire, now it's 5 pieces that snap on the end of a wire to make a connection.
Well, and customers now have the ability to upgrade only certain components. So then you have one component that's upgraded, one component that's original, and then you're trying to figure out what is what. They obviously don't know. You know, they can tell you if you start digging deep enough, but I feel like half the time it's like a whole diagnostic, like doctor's office visit of, have you done this? Have you tried this? What about this? Have you looked at this? Did you test this? You know, just to figure out what different parts they've, over the years, what they've upgraded and changed and might have fixed themselves or gone with a different brand. And yeah,
it's a little like a controlled chaos in a way. Really, it is. And I know
my head's starting to spin just talking about it.
The reality is it's our job to help support that as well. Our department, the Integrated Solutions Department, and
that component for sure.
There's no clear division there, but the reality is we all have to work together, and with sales as well. You know.
Yeah, and there is a lot of that goes into Courtney and I's job as a sales-focused customer support tech, CST. That's kind of our role. So I have a lot of parts people that come to me and they're like, hey, so-and-so needs a harness to connect this to this. And I'm like, okay. So I walk through it with them, and we do a little bit of part stuff too, but I just kind of help them figure out the right part number, and then they take it from there because I'm not good enough to do the parts role.
And circles back. This is the challenge when looking for a parts person behind the counter. They just don't realize the depth of what goes on back there.
Yeah. And you know, you're like I said, you're part of a team, and you know, we're in the Integrated Solutions Department, and we still get confused by some of that stuff. So there's a lot. You know, the moral of the story is there's a lot of depth to the position of someone in the parts department,
and still physical.
Yeah.
You know, gathering chains are heavy. Feeder house chains are heavy.
Making hydraulic
hoses, and you need to run a forklift and run, unload trucks.
Still messing with batteries and filling batteries and yeah. So the again, go back all the way back to 1984. The staggering difference between a parts man's responsibilities in '84 versus 40 years later.
Yeah.
It's just almost unconscionable, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just two different worlds.
And you've seen it. You've seen it all. Like you came in at a time, kind of a cool time if you think about it. A couple of years difference, you would have kind of missed out on a kind of a cool transition. Yeah, that's awesome. So,
thank goodness for that family reunion.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And Nathan Shegley's dad.
yeah. And new idea going defunct. Right.
Yeah.
All three of those things. So.
Okay. Well, we don't ever, no ill will.
No, right. So let's jump into kind of the calendar as far as the year goes. We've kind of talked, Jordan and I, about part specials and things like that. And Courtney spends a little time in marketing, so she understands some of that side as well. So what does a kind of a calendar look like when you think about, okay, this time of year we're going to do this, we're going to run this part special, things like that?
Emily Mullenkamp makes the calendar for us through our meetings and stuff, and we go through what we want to do, and she'll put the calendar together, and we come up with, and in fact, I read your question, so I brought the list with me, but just for the month of August, I see we've got 10 specials going on this month, and that doesn't count the fall catalog that's out there.
10 specials just in the month of August.
Yeah.
Or they're going on concurrently.
They're ongoing, yeah.
And are those Truland specific, or are they deer specific? Or
Most are. Most of the 10 I just mentioned are. I mean, like our filter sales going on. But when we were Jackson Lee Pearson and even Tri-Green Tractor, we had a filter sale, and we had filters on sale. Well, now we have filters, oil, and antifreeze on sale, which we never did that before. So that's kind of new.
Here, I thought you just have a filter sale before fall and a filter sale before spring and call it good. But you have 10 specials ongoing.
So, and that's another challenge. How do you get that information out to everybody? And to me, it was painfully obvious when we took training last week. You weren't there, were you? But
no.
We had this training in Fort Wayne last week that we sent everybody through. And the instructor, who did not work for Truland Equipment, put somebody told me about this Pick 3 thing we got going on. Crickets. Nobody could explain it. So that's another challenge we have internally that we're working on. That we got all this marvelous stuff out there to help grow the business, to help get to give the customers a discount when they need it. But to know it and retain it.
Yeah. And
then it's going to change next month.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's
a lot.
That is a tough job. And then on the other side, back to the counter procedures, when people come in to take advantage of these, there's different ways of putting the discount on there or making sure that value is added to the ticket. It's tough. Rewarding, but it's tough.
So I do have a question talking about, which I know this isn't just your responsibility, but you might have some insight on it. So how are part specials decided? Is it timing of the year? Is that inventory that we need to move? Or is it more customer focused where we know that that's going to be a popular time for our customers to be purchasing those pieces, and so we want to help them out? How is all of that decided? Or is it a combination of both?
All of the above. Next question.
Okay.
No, it's mostly seasonal, I would say.
Yeah.
We try to tie seasonal parts in with that season.
Yep.
And customer requests, of course, things they like to see on sale.
So you do hear customer requests.
We hear customer requests. Well, when is that going to say on sale? Well, she put these on sale and this and that.
Customer feedback's important.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh yeah, you
I think some people just minimize that. Oh, I don't say anything because nobody's going to listen anyways. And I think that if there is one takeaway from this, put your feedback in there because we listen.
We do listen.
And the other takeaway is your parts person has a lot on their plate.
Oh yeah. And that too.
So does the tech.
Yeah.
So the salesman. I mean, everybody is just loaded up.
Yeah. And again, as technology continues to evolve, the knowledge base evolves, and I'm glad you asked. That was kind of my thought too. So I'm so caught up in 10 specials running at once, and. So how often do you, I didn't know if we had a say in what our specials were, if that was directed by John Deere, but it sounds like.
Yeah, we got a big say in that.
So how often do you guys, is the calendar done not the whole year at a time, is it? Or is it, how often do you plan to get together and plan the calendar out? And
it's more of a you and Emily question, but you know, ideally we'd like to have a plan ahead, a year ahead, maybe more. Okay. Ideally. That's tough.
Talk a little bit about, I'm super curious. So as we've gone through mergers, we've merged with companies that carry different product lines than we did. Mm-hmm. And I think our most recent merger picked up like a Kuhn Krause.
There is a manure spreader on our lot. I haven't seen a new manure spreader.
Yeah.
A new manure spreader on our lot here. I haven't seen a new manure spreader on our lot since the New Idea days back in the 80s.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
So how does that when we merge and start having various product lines, how does that work out?
We just took on Toro.
Yeah, that's
and that was very challenging. Toro does business a little different than other people, and trying to drag training out of them and get everybody up to speed on that was tough, and it's ongoing. Kuhn Krause has been nice to work with so far.
So because we merged with someone that did Kuhn Krause, now we
Yeah.
have to be able to handle Kuhn Krause.
Yes.
So everybody's got to get up to speed at every store, really.
Yeah.
But there is product lines that drop off as well. So
Yeah.
through
We don't have to
mergers.
mention names if you
Yeah, I
don't
won't
want
mention some blue tillage equipment that might go away someday. I don't know.
Right.
Honda, they quit making push mowers, and
Man.
that's the only push mower we sold. So
That was a nice place.
that's kind of why Toro
Yeah.
was brought in. And they, the Kinfeld people had Toro, and been a nice addition. They got a big lineup.
Yeah, our showroom's full of it.
Yeah.
Already. Yeah.
Yeah, so not only do we make decisions on our inventory and our parts to better serve our customers, but product lines that we're selling as well. And you guys have to be able to adapt to that. And sometimes it just gets handed to you and we say,
Yeah.
deal with it. Not me. I would never do that to you guys. But yeah, but you are told that you're going to learn this and you have to be able to adapt and bring on that whole new lineup.
I must say there's a lot more thought that goes into it today than it used to be. I remember back years and years ago, we took on sunflower here at Jackson Lee Pearson. Okay, we started selling sunflower, but we didn't have one part in the bin
Yeah.
until somebody broke something. You didn't know what you couldn't go to sunflower. Hey, what breaks on these
Didn't
things?
have the history.
They never break. So you didn't order any.
They never
parts.
break.
Those finishers were a big sell at
Yeah.
that point.
Oh, we had a lot of
Slow
sunflower.
finishers.
Brilliant. We had a lot of brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
And you stock parts based on sales demands, and until something broke, you didn't know. It's a lot different now. These companies are kind of caught up, and they'll point you in the right direction of what you probably need to stock for these machines. And
You ever think about writing a book?
no,
No.
This is his verbal book right now. Verbal biography.
I
Transcript.
was asked to collaborate on a book with a friend of mine over Kokomo, a fellow avid historian, I guess. Not avid, but amateur historian. But nah, I'm not gonna do any books.
This is fascinating.
You're not going to help him though?
No, I mean he's really deep into it, and I am not.
Okay, what's your favorite historical that you study and have learned a lot about?
Cold War military aviation,
Oh my gosh.
I knew that.
Okay.
fascinating. I love museums. So my oldest son and I, go to the Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio every year. Spend the night. We nerd out for 2 days. My wife said, "How can you go there every stinking year?" I love it. It's my Disneyland, so we go there every year.
What is it about the Cold War? Of all the things, what is it about that time period? Because I've never heard anybody say that.
This country poured a lot of money into that effort.
Yeah.
And it was I don't know what use the word, ideological.
Ideological.
Thank you
Yeah.
for that. It was communism versus
Capitalism. Yeah.
capitalism, and our way of life and our freedom and everything. And we basically just outspent the Russians and won. We did.
It was a waste. It really was kind of a waste of money because we never. Really
Oh my
used
goodness.
it.
There's a lot of nice museums. You just don't know the infrastructure this country put in underground, above ground, until you start digging for it, and it blows your mind. And I'll get in the weeds here.
I mean, again, I'm the second oldest person in the room, so I'm a little closer to this.
One of the most fascinating things to me that nobody knows about, the Nike missile system. So this was an Army-run system. So our big cities were all protected by anti-aircraft missiles back in the 50s, 60s, up into the 70s. So Chicago and Milwaukee, they were close enough together. They were ringed by the system of Nike missile launchers run by the Army. There was these Nike complexes all around those two cities ready for a Russian bombers to come over the pole and bomb cities. San Francisco, New York, all the big cities, Chicago, I already mentioned that, St. Louis, all these big cities were ringed with these missile systems nobody knows about. They were taken down, they were disbanded in the 80s, I think. Some of those places are still there. They're covered up in the weeds, but they're still there. You can explore them.
Wow.
But the money that this government spent on anti-aircraft just for big cities, nobody knew they're there.
I'm assuming you've been around to see some.
I've seen some. I've been trying to find, so the Milwaukee, Chicago area ring was so big it had, and all these rings, by the way, not only had these missile launch complexes, they also had radars all around. Well, that ring around those two cities was so big they needed gap filler radars, they called them.
Yeah, sure.
There was one in Logansport, Indiana.
right.
I would love to find out where it is. I want to see if there's any concrete foundations left. Or that's kind of stuff I like. The leftovers.
The
of
nostalgia of it is fascinating.
Man, there was Army personnel that reported here every day, 24 hours a day, that manned this radar site. And then it was just gone. It's lost to history. But
and once that scare, I should say, ended, because it was still a scare even when I was in elementary school. You would still see the bomb bunker, warnings and things like that. It ended.
Yeah, Grissom Air Force Base was a strategic air command base.
Yeah.
Through the 60s, from 60 to 70, I think, 69 maybe, there was nuclear bombers loaded, cocked, and ready to take off on seconds' notice. Right there. Yeah. Right over there.
You had an interesting story to tell. I've just been fascinated by this, and you've seen a lot of stuff. So I kind of want to leave him with this question and put him on the spot. Like, what could possibly be next after everything you've seen from when you started? And it may be something that happens after you're gone. You have any idea? Any
with this business?
Yeah, like after all the changes you've seen, what do you think could possibly be next?
I thought for a little while now, 3D printing. I could almost imagine locations having one or multiple 3D printers, and when you need a part, you print it out.
Yeah.
That's my prediction for the long future. I don't know.
And so this is just you brainstorming, right? You have no knowledge of this. So in case this comes true,
nothing has been.
This isn't insider trading, insider secret spilling.
Somebody's going to take this idea and run with it. It's going to be Marty's idea.
I can see having to order from Service Guard a parts printer, and you'll make sprockets and you'll make different things down the road.
I could too.
That's my long term.
I don't think it's
future
that crazy.
prediction.
No, I think they're already making some cool stuff. So, okay, we'll put that down. And we'll give Marty some kudos when that happens.
Do you think that'll happen before or after flying cars?
I think it'll happen sooner than that.
I'm just kidding.
It's going to happen before or after you retire. That's the bigger question.
Oh, way after. Way. Yeah, I would think that's so far in the future. I don't know. Maybe it's not.
They're printing
I don't
a lot
know.
of stuff with 3D printers, though, man. They're doing some really cool stuff. I don't think it's as far away as you think.
I don't have the patience for that. It sounds like a lot of patience.
It'll all be pre-programmed, or maybe I don't know, maybe not.
I don't know.
The future's wide open, and it's going to go way beyond that. That's probably going to happen. In
drone parts delivery. I don't know.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing with like grocery stores. So yeah.
Thanks. Seriously.
Hey, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, this is great, and I think it's so much more fun and enjoyable when we have people on who you can tell that they truly love their job.
Sure. And
yeah, I just can't say thank you enough.
Yeah,
even though Josh had to pay you to be here.
Yeah, we had to pay him. This was our most expensive guest, right? We're next to our neighbors in the store, right? Our office was
most expensive in the the store has paid him for how many years?
Right.
So I guess if you tally all that up, but no, this is
there's a lot.
Priceless.
There's a lot. So Marty's got a lot of depth about him, and I knew he'd have some fun things to say, and I knew you were interested in the aviation side, and I appreciate your positive. I do appreciate your positive attitude coming to work, always being smiley and pleasant and happy. I've never seen this guy mad. Maybe irritated, maybe once, but. I don't know how you do it.
My parents were both just great people. My dad always had a smile on his face. Mom was just awesome. I guess it trickled down to me.
Yeah. It's fun working with you, for sure.
Yeah, and it's great getting to hear. I don't know if there's too many people who could put the entire parts system and department into words.
Awesome. With
it being so complex. So, yeah, I truly appreciate that. I personally learned a lot, so that's also invaluable. All right. Well, with that, we'll wrap up this episode. And as always, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe for all of the future episodes of True Talk.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.